Now to our special feature of the night. The Uganda presidential election last month lived up to its billing as an intense contest between unlikely opponents. President Museveni was challenged by a musician nearly half his age, and the outcome is now a matter for the courts to verify. Citizen TV's Wahiga Mwaura, who had a ringside experience covering the Uganda election, brings us more.
Politics, looking for anything for myself. I don't need to be in the government to have a good life, because I have a good life already as a farmer.
Yoweri Kaguta Museveni embodies the perfect description of the African big man. Raw power and the open display of it attends to his public appearances. And with over 30 years in power, he belongs to the same league as former African strongman Gnassingbé Eyadema of Togo, Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe, Mobutu Sese Seko of Zaire, now Congo, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, and Hosni Mubarak of Egypt. They are all deceased now, but together with the Cameroonian president of 39 years, Paul Biya, Museveni belongs to a shrinking club of living, long-serving African rulers.
The Electoral Commission declares Yoweri Museveni Tibuhaburwa Kaguta elected President of the Republic of Uganda.
Museveni has just been declared winner of the 2021 election. This is his 6th election victory. All but one have been disputed, the latest one being no exception.
Whatever is being declared is a complete sham. We reject it and we disassociate ourselves with it.
Robert Sentamu Kyagulanyi, better known as Bobi Wine, is Uganda's most unlikely political story. A child of the ghetto by birth, Bobi Wine made his name on the entertainment scene, where he excelled as a musician. Then, out of the blue music skies, he burst onto the political stage like an inspiration, winning a parliamentary seat on his first try and quickly proceeding to become a presidential candidate, challenging the big man, a man nearly 40 years his senior, Yoweri Museveni. Jubilant supporters of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni assembled a kilometer away from the National Tallying Center at the Kyambogo University Sports Ground. They knew what to expect, and so freshly printed t-shirts bearing the photos of Museveni were quickly distributed to this multitude of motorcycle riders who will shortly hit the road for the victory lap.
Mzee yangu amepita, nimefurahi sana sana. We have
brought him back into his chair, so he's our president.
Uganda has done this 6 times, translating to over 34 years in power for President Yoweri Museveni. This time he faced an unlikely challenge described by observers as perhaps the toughest battle of his political life. Bobi Wine is only 4 years shy of the entire time that Museveni has been in power. Simply put, he was 4 years old when Museveni came to power on the 26th of January 1986. The graduate of Makerere University sprung a surprise on President Yoweri Museveni, running on a platform of change backed by a burst of youthful energy with his music as the soundtrack. This award-winning musician grew up in the ghettos of Kampala, and his is a story of rags to riches and grass to grace. He's a young father of 4, backed by a celebrity wife, Barbara Kyagulanyi, also known as Barbie. The Barbie-Bobby combination proving a lethal political duet. We spoke to him 2 days before the election when we could still access his home, and I began by asking him why a young, successful musician would choose such a turbulent path.
I was a superstar before I got into this. I was having a comfortable life. I was loved and appreciated by everybody, including the oppressor. I did not have enemies. more so powerful and well-connected enemies. I am here taking this risk because it is the moral thing to do. I was lifted from the ghetto by those ordinary citizens of Uganda, and it is the only thing that I can give back to them, fight for their rights, especially now that they lent me a voice.
Honorable Chagulani, Kiiza Besigye has seen this all before. He vied 4 times, underwent the same tactics you did. Why do you think you're going to be the one to tip the scale?
What's different with this time is that this is a generational struggle. This is a fight between the past and the present, between the young and the old.
Bobi Wine is a younger, more energetic substitute for 4-time presidential candidate Kiiza Besigye. In fact, Bobi is said to have inherited part of his political philosophy from Besigye, and 1 year ago, it seemed that the two would work on a joint campaign. Besigye knows what it means to have the state working against your campaign.
It's simply not possible to keep count of the numbers of times I've been charged, the numbers of times I've been arrested, the numbers of times, I've appeared in court. They are just countless.
When the all-clear was given for campaigns to begin in November 2020, the NRM, or National Resistance Movement candidate Yoweri Museveni, ran his operation to retain power as smoothly as he had done for the last 5 terms, taking his message to voters in Uganda's 146 districts. The president, citing COVID-19 protocols, did not address big rallies, but rather chose to speak to NRM coordinators who would then pass the message on to voters. But as president, he had access to state machinery and the ever-visible presence of the military, which is the Uganda People's Defense Forces, UPDF. Museveni ran on the platform of stability, touting his many years in office and styling himself as a safe pair of hands.
For the last 50 years, 55 years, we've been telling you, please, if you want our people to be prosperous, emphasize Uganda, emphasize Africa.
When the sun rose over Uganda on Thursday, the 14th of January 2021, the capital city, Kampala, usually an opposition stronghold, woke up to scenes of heavy security presence. On the ground, and even on top of buildings, armed security officers took positions. Voter queues at the polling stations we visited started forming at about 7 a.m. Despite the late arrival of ballot boxes, Ugandans waited patiently for their chance to exercise their civic rights.
We want peaceful election where people can vote freely, vote their leaders without any cause or any security. There's no any security who's attacking anybody.
Doing our part, the tallying and the rest, we leave that to maybe to God, because even the commission is appointed.
9 hours of voting progressed without us seeing any major incidents, with an estimated 9.9 million voters, or 57% of the 18 million voters, casting their vote. By now, the internet had been switched off across the country, and the only way to get election updates for ordinary citizens was on television or radio. Bobi Wine voted at 11 a.m. at the Magere Freedom Square in Chadondo East constituency. President Museveni cast his vote at the Karo High School polling station later in the day. The chairman of the Uganda Electoral Commission gave the poll that day a clean bill of health.
I wish to commend the people of Uganda for having conducted themselves in such a peaceful, tranquil, and orderly manner on the 14th of January when we held presidential and parliamentary elections.
I think this may turn out to be the most cheating-free election since 1962.
But Bobi Wine's view of polling day was completely different.
The military and the police conducted operations in different districts of the country where our sub-region and district leaders were arrested and kept in prison without charge, only to be released yesterday evening after election without any charge.
Bobi Wine had asked his supporters to share information on what was going on at their polling stations to an independent tallying center that his party had set up. But without internet access, that was not possible. In fact, during the week of the election, the hotel that we were staying in Uganda was raided and an independent tallying center shut down. As you can imagine, we immediately checked out of the hotel. Now, the raiding of this tallying center was condemned by the European Union and the American Embassy. 2 days after the election, President Yoweri Museveni was announced as the winner. And when he spoke to the nation later that day in a lengthy address, he pledged that the violence seen late last year in Kampala would not happen again.
Riots will not happen again. If they happen, they will be dealt with decisively, not like the other time.
4 days after the election, on Monday at 11 a.m., the internet was restored, although partially, and through the help of virtual private networks that allow mobile users to bypass government restrictions, videos allegedly showing what seemed to be electoral malpractice in some parts of the country began popping up. The Electoral Commission, in a tweet posted on the 21st of January 2021, stated that, and I quote, EC has noted videos on social media showing individuals allegedly ticking ballots or stuffing ballots into boxes. The EC took all measures to ensure elections are conducted with integrity. We consider these allegations seriously and will investigate to establish the veracity of these videos, end quote. When Citizen TV could not independently verify the authenticity of these videos or when and where they were recorded, we sought the assistance of local and Uganda-based experts, and through them, we have attempted to analyze some aspects of these videos. The first video shows 5 men taking ballot papers and folding them after that. The men are not wearing any clothing that indicates who they work for. Nevertheless, one of them passes across our screen dressed in what looks like the Uganda People's Defense Forces uniform and holding a standard AK-47. He is monitoring their activities. Now, the AK-47 is commonly used by the UPDF, the police, the prisons, and the Uganda Wildlife Authority. A security expert confirmed that indeed this is the uniform of the UPDF, and in 2019, Uganda banned civilians from wearing official military clothing. The fact that some of these individuals are wearing face masks means that this clip is current. Another video shows a ballot paper booklet still intact with a tick on multiple pages next to the NRM candidate Yoweri Museveni. The order of candidates on the booklet is identical to the order of candidates revealed by the Commission to Ugandan media houses on the 4th of November 2020. The next video shows what looks like presidential ballot papers and other materials strewn on the floor in an unidentified location. According to the 2016 Handbook for Polling Officials, once the ballot papers have been counted, they are supposed to be sealed in a black box for storage. We got a native Luganda speaker to translate what was being said to English.
Bya Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu, President Bobi Wine, byonna diara forms zonna weziri wano, ballot papers bazireka wano wetwalondera wennyini buli kimu tebaatawaana tebalina kye baatawaana kutwalako, byonna tubisanze wano eno, tewali kintu kyonna kye baakwatako bintu bya mukama waffe Robert Kyagulanyi.
A fourth video shows a policeman stuffing a ballot box in the presence of another man wearing a Government of Uganda face masks, which had been issued after the coronavirus pandemic hit the country. The policeman's uniform closely resembles the uniform that we saw soldiers on the streets of Kampala wearing, with a flag on the left side. The National Unity Party's lawyer Anthony Wameli recently told NTV Uganda that he believes the malpractice mainly happened in Western Uganda.
Ballot stuffing, multiple voting, pre-ticking of ballot papers, intimidation and chasing away. Western Uganda, Kisoro, into the whole of Western Uganda, Eastern Uganda, Northern Uganda, across the country.
During a press conference on the 28th of January 2021, the chair of the Ugandan Electoral Commission, Justice Simon Byabakama, gave his response to these viral videos.
Social media footages showing how the policemen guarding people pre-taking ballot papers. You know, as I keep on confessing my sin, I'm not on social media. Yes, I always confess that sin before you. That for me, I'm not on social media. But I've seen people have shown me those footages. Those are on social media. They have shown me. And we have taken the step to ask the police to verify the veracity, authenticity of those footages.
As all focus turns towards the Supreme Court, constitutional lawyer Jude Byabakama told NBS TV that he believes the evidence of recordings by NUP supporters would be good evidence if the people who filmed them are willing to go on record.
Whoever was recording them obviously would be very, very scared to disclose themselves. So that poses a challenge. We see the video, we can tell that it's authentic, but as to who recorded it and who was the primary witness that saturated it, you fail to get to those people.
Nevertheless, the video evidence may be difficult to verify in court, but legal experts say it would be up to the judges to determine admissibility.
In particular, to ensure that a video passes the test of authenticity. For the court to know that this is not a doctored video, this is not a video that has been edited to suit a particular narrative. That's very important. And if that standard cannot be met, then the video evidence sadly becomes useless.
The other issue that could form part of the petition at the Supreme Court is how some polling stations recorded 100% voter turnout, which could be statistically challenged by the fact that voter registration closed in December 2019. This means that between then and January 2021, almost 13 months later, no voter died or moved away or was sick or was unable to vote for any particular reason in those polling stations. In October 2020, the Chief Justice of Uganda, Alphonse Owiny Dolo, told NTV Uganda that he would annul a presidential election if a party provided just one electoral offense.
For electoral offense, even 1 cent is enough to annul because it is criminal. That's why it is called an offense. But for where 500 people have been denied, overall 500,000, in a dispute whose outcome has got a margin of 3 million, 4 million voters. You ask the question, even if I give these 500,000 people to the runner-up, what difference does it make? You get what I'm saying?
East African nations have congratulated President Yoweri Museveni on his victory, but the European Union and the United States are yet to. Bobi Wine remained under house arrest for several days after the election announcement was made, and our attempts to access his home was rebuffed by security officers. The troops eventually withdrew after a court order was issued to that effect. President Museveni is in the meantime proceeding with his rule, dismissing talk of dialogue with the opposition.
Imagine some people have been coming here that they want to mediate between me and opposition. Mediate? You? Mediate what? I don't want any mediation. Everybody knows my address. I know the address of these opposition people. I can drive there and we talk. We don't need any mediation.
For a handshake here to be of meaning, even the handshake should be negotiated so that you shake a hand on account of a concrete agreement of what is going to happen going forwards, what fundamental reforms are necessary for the country. Once you agree on the fundamental reforms, shake hands and implement those reforms.
For the last 3 decades, the outcome of elections in Uganda have been predictable, and so have the court petitions as well. And as Bobi Wine challenges President Museveni in court, few are holding their breath for the decision of the judges. Wahiga Mwaura, Citizen TV.